See? Okay, you're seeing the wrong thing. No, oh, whoops. This is so professional right now. Alright, there we go. You can see now, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so the first card is Animated Armor. It's a mage card, 4 mana, 4/4, and very cool effect, man. Your hero can only take 1 damage at a time, so Deathwing turns to 1 attack on your face, so it has a pseudo taunt. I guess we can start with you first.
This is a tough one to evaluate. I did a review with Saiyan, and we just couldn't get our head around how this would ever be good. But we felt as though we might have been missing something, because it's a unique effect, right? So it has the potential to always be powerful, just because it's different. But at the same time, I don't see how this could be playable.
Yeah, exactly. Because at the end of the day, it's like a 4 mana 4/4 vanilla creature, and it's a 4 mana 4/4 taunt in my opinion, right? You can play against certain classes like I don't know, Freeze Mage. It could be really good. It soaks a spell, but against so many classes, it just dies because it's just 4 health, and it doesn't do anything special when it turns place. So I think this is cute. It would be one of those situations sometimes that you tech it in against something weird, but I don't think this is going to be played.
I can't even see it as a freeze mage counter, and that seems like the biggest.
Okay, but very cool effect. I like how Blizzard is making these.
I know, interesting. I think it's good that they're implementing new cards like this, because in the future it'll open up design space for other cards and other card interactions, which is really good.
Yeah, there you go. Alright, so we're not going to give a rating for bad cards. Next card is the Anub'ar Sentinel. It's a super dark cultist. 5 mana 4/4, and then it gets +3/+3 when it dies. I'll start with this one. I think this is also pretty bad. At turn 5, there's just so many good 5-drops in the game right now that you need to compete with, and this also means that there's just so many factors for this card to work, right? Your opponent can kill everything and then kill this because at turn 5 you really don't have a big board, and yeah, it's just very, very easy to play around. And the fact that, I mean, it's a 7/7, right? If you make it work properly, but as a 4 health creature, once again, I think it's just not going to work. But hey, I love the art.
Yeah, the art's fantastic. It's like Ancient Watcher, but crap. I think that I could see this card being a one-of in Secret Paladin, actually, because if you think about the Secret Paladin deck, it has a really good 1 through 4 drops and a really good 6 through 8 drops, but it lacks in the 5-drop slot. Usually it just does a low level sludge culture, which really doesn't contribute that much to their plan of playing something really above average every turn. And this card with Redemption is nuts, and especially for Secret Paladin, which can probably land this, I could definitely see this being a one-of in Secret Paladin decks, and I could see that being quite strong. Outside of that, I don't see this card working. It's very conditional, like you said, and I could just be dead wrong.
Okay, interesting. Well, this is interesting. If you play with Redemption, what happens? Does the order matter?
She did.
I mean, the idea is that you have Step on board. I have no idea what the actual ordering would be, but you'd get this thing back, and then you have the buff again.
Yeah. But if you only have the Sentinel out and you have Redemption, and then it kills, and then does it buff itself? Yeah, maybe there's some ordering thing that might make it better. But yeah, at the end of the day, I don't, I'm not giving this card too much credit. I think that's good. Okay. Next one is a 4 mana 7/4. It's called Big Game Shade. Battle cry, you shuffle an ancient curse in your deck, and when you draw it, you basically fireball yourself. So you can start with this one.
Oh god, no. This is never going to be played ever.
Okay, so the next card is the. Alright, well, okay, let's jump back a little bit. Okay, so would you pick this in Arena over some normal 4-drops?
I think I would pick Ogre Magi over this card.
Wow, okay.
It's just, you play it on turn 4, what does it do? Trade into Chill Yeti? That's slight upside, and then you get fireballed later in the game and lose. It's so little upside for what it does on turn 4 because of Piloted Shredder and Sludge Belcher, and it's just got so much downside.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like a card that really doesn't, do something. Usually battle card minis are really good because they do something, but this battle card is basically nothing, right? So you're just playing a big, faster Salty Dog, and Salty Dog is not a card that's played, so you do not need to play this. You just want to play. If you want to play Salty Dog that bad, just play Innervate and play Fell Reaper, right? So yeah, there you go.
Not Salty Dog.
This is not a pirate, but so yeah, there you go. All right, wow, another 10 mana spell. It's gonna be the Paladin. Summon 7 Murlocs that die this game. the only problem I have with this card is that there are 6 Murlocs on the card art, so I don't want to play this.
Yeah, that's definitely why I don't want to play it either. I really can't think of a reason beyond that, but the art really is enough.
It is really, really awkward. Maybe there's one that's like in stealth or something, but there are no stealth Murlocs, right? They don't exist. But playability of this card, it is a rare, so it will pop at arena sometime if we don't see any crazy constructed shenanigans. Like, do you foresee a world where you play Murloc Knight and Murloc what's that called, War Leader, and then also the 0 mana 1/1, and then that's all the Murlocs you play? No.
I mean, I was thinking about the literal circumstances where this card even works, and I concluded that it was only going to be in the Paladin mirror with Murloc Knight.
That's true. You do.
Because it's never even going to happen with just your Murloc Knight deck.
Yeah, exactly. It's really hard to get 7 Murlocs. I mean, another way that this could work is that maybe it just copies 1, for example. You got what I mean? Like, if 1 died, then you just copy it 7 times. But then that would be too overpowered, right? You just play Murkai and then discard, and you get 7 Murkais at turn 10.
Oh yeah, you'd win.
Yeah,
that's the win condition.
Yeah, that's probably not how it works. So because
it
doesn't.
So fun and interactive, though, right?
Hey, I mean, it's Patron Warrior, so yeah. Because it doesn't work that way, I don't think this is gonna see too much play. But it's really cool, I guess. Okay, so next card we have the 9 mana Archthief or Archthief Rafaam. It's a 9 mana 7/8, and you get a 10 mana spell. Is this good enough that control decks want to use this?
I don't think I have played a game of Hearthstone in the past month where I've had 2 free turns to dick around. So I don't think so.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of treat this as like an Onyxia, in my opinion, right? It's basically you summon 6 1/1s that you can use the turn afterwards. But then the problem with this is that you need to sacrifice 1 more turn for the effect.
Yeah,
and
you can.
Yeah, and for the people who don't know what the cards are, so you have one that gives a minion 10 plus 10. Another one is Arcane Missiles for 10 damage. And the third one is summon a board full of zombies, which are 3/3s, I believe.
Yeah, the zombie card's actually really good. If you roll that one, then I think it's the only one that could make the deck. Like, I think you could justify playing this card at all. But even then, like, you've spent 9 mana, then 10 mana. What are the odds you're not just dead?
Exactly.
How far you have to be to make that work.
Right, exactly. So, I guess it's kind of cool that you can play this as like a 19 mana 17/18, right? Kind of ish. But yeah, I think it's a little bit too gimmicky, and 10 mana spells are very hard to leverage, Next card we have the Brann Bronzebeard. This card seems like it's everybody's most excited card because it's something very special, right? 3 mana 2/4. Your battle cries trigger twice. Kind of reminds me of Baron Rivendare. So when this card came out, everybody's looking through the list of battle cries, right? So, Amnesiac, do you have any cool synergies or cool ideas you have with this card?
Well, you can get a 4/19 Drake. You can heal for 16.
Wow.
So I actually do think that this card will be playable in Classic Handlock.
Wow, okay. Makes sense.
So the idea is, in Classic Handlock, you already want to run a 1 of Earthen Ring Farseer, and you definitely want double Twilight Drake, and you definitely want double Healbot, and you definitely want Loatheb. And that Loatheb thing might not sound like a big deal, but you can hit this card in Loatheb, and they literally can't go.
That is pretty crazy, yeah. That's right.
So
yeah.
that's very significant. That could
Wow.
actually make that matchup extremely easy if you're just competent.
Wow,
But,
that's actually really true because Handlock also doesn't have a lot of 3-drops, right?
yeah, exactly. That's why I like it too. Like, against aggro, you play this on 3. If they ignore it, you can play like a 4/12 Twilight Drake without actually having tapped that much.
Wow.
And that's really powerful, right?
Yeah.
And then, so it's like a 3 mana 2/4 taunt, which against aggro is good, and against control you can just hold it, and then you can get like 8 extra healing, or you can make something bigger, or you can block out brawl. Like, I think this is going to be really good in Classic Handlock, which I'm excited for, because I actually like Classic Handlock a lot more than Boom Handlock.
Yeah, you can also get 2 more Boom Bots, unleash Dr. Boom's true form. You can also kill yourself with Jiraxis twice. Some very cool stuff to get with this card, right? Alright, so this, how would you rate, let's go with the top 5 after the whole set. Alright, let's do it. Okay. Next card is the Warlock 2-mana spell, Curse of Rafaam. You give your opponent a 2-mana card that does nothing, but when they hold it in their hand, they take 2 damage on their turn. Now, I'm assuming 2 damage on the turn means that at the start of the turn, they took 2 damage. So at worst, this is a 2-mana, reduce your opponent's next turn by 2 mana, and they take 2 damage, or it could even get better. So, what do you think?
I mean, I think this card is 2 mana, do nothing, lose the game.
Wow, really?
I think this card is very bad, personally.
Okay. Well, in my opinion, I think this might be actually pretty good because when your opponent holds this card and they don't want to cast it next turn, they actually take 4 damage. So it's kind of like a Mind Blast-ish card, and they have to cast it sometime during the game if you're playing an aggressive deck. And when they do, they actually soak 2 mana. So I think this could be kind of interesting.
I get that, it's just the mana part might be relevant, but what Warlock deck actually cares that much about dealing 4 damage?
Yeah, not too much right now,
like,
but
maybe this could be a one of an aggressive zoo to steal some tempo and get the extra damage you need. I could see that. That seems like a fringe scenario, but I don't think the card is the problem. I think it's like the situation of Warlock in general.
yeah,
like,
sure, but
like Handlock, which is not exactly a control deck, but it's not that much about life totals. And then you've got Zoo, which has gotten a lot slower lately.
Yeah, I can actually see like an aggressive Zoo deck with like, you know, the abusive and Dark Iron shenanigans with like something even like Wrathguard and like double Soulfire, Fist of Jaraxxus and stuff like that and go really, really fast. And then this is your win condition. Because this is like very, very good against aggro in my opinion, right? If you play this, they just get steady shot every time, and when they want to get rid of the steady shot, they need to spend 2 mana. It's also a very, very good card against Freeze Mage, right? So suddenly you can just play this card, oh, Ice Block, ha! What a joke, right? So I think this might be actually really good.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's very good in those matchups where every mana counts. The problem is you also had to spend that initial 2 mana. That might have been like the difference between you developing Knife Juggler and you passing your turn, and that could really matter as well. I do agree. It could be a nice freeze move counter for Zoo decks, though. Because if you run this, you're probably going to beat Freeze Mage, right? You just get them to 1 and then you play this card.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, suddenly you win against Freeze Mage now with Zoo, right? So I don't know. I think this card is interesting, and I think that, you know, the deck could be played around, made to like build around it. So I would rate this pretty high for this set.
All right, that's fair.
Yeah.
I think my opinion's been changed a little bit. It makes some sense.
Alright, and once again, guys, to get rid of this, the Curse card, you need to spend 2 mana, and it doesn't do anything. Alright, next card is the Curse Blade for Warrior. It's a 1 mana Zombie Chow, splats, but all damage dealt to your hero is doubled. Oh man, this is a high risk, and what do you think about the reward here?
It's like low to medium tops reward. You just gotta play yourself in the meat. Like, you play this card and then you have Fiery War Axe and you just feel like an idiot. Like,
yeah, exactly.
If Warrior didn't have weapons, this would probably be playable, but since you can't really curve this into Fiery War Axe.
Yeah, exactly, because I mean, if you this card was in Priest, I would be like, oh, that's pretty interesting, right? I mean, there's no weapons, but with Fire War Axe, it seems that this card is like super like overshadowed. It's not even good, right? I think there's one situation where this really matters, is that now Blingtron, Battle Cry is double damage on your opponent, right? Beautiful. Like, Blingtron is back in the game. I mean, Amnesiac, like, I'm really, really excited for that.
Oh, I just love variants.
There you go. Let's go to the next one with another Warlock card here. You Battle Cry, discover a 1-cost card. And this is like the first card that we see Discover as a mechanic. And Discover means you get a selection of 3, and you choose one and add it to your hand. So it's basically like Novice Engineer, but you draw outside of your deck. And Discover can only get cards that are neutral or in the class you're playing now. So, for example, I can never get a Web Spinner if I play Dark Peddler. So let's just get that out of the way. So yeah, it's a 2-mana 2/2, draws a card. What do you think?
I think this is like that other 2-mana card we saw. I think this, if it has a place, it's going to be in some sort of faster Zoo deck, which is going to be expending its hand. Because a random 1-drop for most Zoo decks is not that great, but in the really fast variants, just a random 1-drop, you can probably just spew out and it's fine. And so this is like a little bit of staying power. The problem is you're playing a 2-mana 2/2, and you have to find room. And if we're gonna be wanting to run that other card, that deck, and I've talked to Sane, he says that deck is like very tight in how many spots it has. I just don't know if this card's actually good enough to find a spot. I don't think it's bad. It just might not have a place.
Right. I mean, I compared this card to a Razorfen Hunter, right? It's a 3-mana 2/3 that summons a 1/1. This one is kind of like a 3-mana 2/2 that summons a better 1/1, right? 1-cost cards are usually better than 1/1.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, when you discover a 1-cost card, you can actually get rid of the 2 worst possibilities, right? You're never gonna pick Angry Chicken, right? You're never gonna pick what's another bad card? I don't know. So you have to like look at the top half of the list and then evaluate the cards from there. And when I'm looking at 1-drops, I don't see a card that excites me that much, right? There's usually 2 ones that don't do anything. Like Abusive Sergeant is really the best thing out of the world. Zombie Child doesn't excite me because if you play this card, you're probably playing a more aggressive version. You're not looking to value out your opponent with 1-cost cards. And yeah, you're just looking for those tech cards. And tech cards don't exist in 1-cost drops.
I mean, there is the very rare upside of getting Power Overwhelming or Soulfire.
Oh, yeah, that's really true. Oh, yeah, that's true. 1-cost card, not minion.
Pretty niche. Like, yes, if you get those, it's really, really good.
Okay.
But if you don't, then your argument is the same exact thing.
Yeah, sure. Okay, I guess if it only gets spells, 1-cost spells, it would be, like, I would be excited about it, but, well, 1-cost card, there's just too many choices.
Wouldn't you just roll Corruption, Power Overwhelming, and Soulfire every single time?
Yeah, exactly.
That'd be
So, I will take that. That would be insane, right? All right. Well, yeah. So this version not too crazy, right?
Nah, I don't think so.
Okay. All right. Let's get to the next one. It's a hunter card, and we got another trap. Dart Trap. When your opponent hero powers, you smart them for 5 damage. Sometimes it hits a minion, and you're a bit sad, but that sweet time when it hits the face. Oh baby. 2 mana deal 5 to the face, or Mad Scientist Death Rattle Super Leper Gnome deal 5 damage to the face. I'm really excited about this card because now when you face a hunter, you don't even want to heal yourself as a priest. It's like, oh no, because this card actually even deals 7 damage or 8 damage because it buffs your Eagle Horn Bow, right? I feel like this card makes hunters so much more scary.
It does make them scarier. I just don't think it has a place. I think it might have a place later on or as a tech card. I just, right in the current metagame, I don't think this card is going to be played like right out of the gate. I don't think the card is bad or that it doesn't have a place. I just don't think it's going to be right now because there's so many like little aggro decks that don't really hero power ever.
Okay.
And even against those, like if you get them for 5, they still have 10 damage in play, and Savage War still deals like 30.
Okay, sure.
I had a bad day on ladder.
Yeah, that does make sense. But I don't know. I feel like this card is just. I guess it depends on how many minions they play. When I play Dart Trap in my hunter deck, I envisioned that I always wanted to hit the face, or hit a taunt minion, right? So if they have like Violet Teacher, for example, this card is just really really bad, obviously. So I guess it's kind of like a meta call, but 2 mana deal 5 is so high on the curve, and hunter is one of those classes where you don't mind hitting the face, right? If Flame Cannon were to sometimes hit the face as a mage, you would never play that card. Like, it's just really, really bad. Sometimes you just screw up yourself. It's like Flame Juggler, right?
Yeah.
But because it's in a hunter deck, this card is just that much more exciting to me.
I think it has potential. I don't think it'll be played right out the gate, but maybe it will. Who knows? And I think in certain metagames, it will definitely be played. Like in a Control Warrior metagame, where they either have a Shield Maiden that dies, or they just get got. Like,
Okay, good. Alright, next card we have Entomb. Lysandra has entered Hearthstone, and it's a 6 mana Better Recycle, right? You choose an enemy minion, and then you add it to your deck. You can start with this one.
No, I'll let you take point on this one because you actually play Priest.
Okay, so my opinion on this card is that it's really bad because if 6 mana destroy a minion is ever good, than people who play Assassinate for 5 mana, or people who play Saboteur for 4 mana, and Deadly Shot even for 3 mana, right? The fact that like this does actually silence something and like kill something is really good in the control meta, right? I mean, control meta, like priest versus warrior, it always goes down to fatigue. So this actually gets you not only 1-for-1 trade, you also get the card, so it's like a 2-for-1. But against aggro, like this card is just really, really bad. It's a 6 mana kill something, and I would play this in a very specific control deck, and yeah, it's not really too exciting to me.
Okay, it's interesting to hear you say that. I thought it was good on first glance just because I know Priest historically has had such a big problem with Sylvanas and Ysera, and this is like a way to just deal with those. Also, something cute you can do is you can ship Mysterious Challenger back to your deck, which means that none of the secrets proc, so you don't have that annoying.
Oh, okay.
So that's just like and that lines up pretty well in terms of mana cost. Like you at least break even. But
yeah, okay.
I think this card will have a place. I'm not entirely sure. That's just my intuition. I think it'll be a 1 of in Control Priest. I don't think it'll see play outside of just strict Control Priest. Like I don't think Dragon Priest needs this card at all.
Yeah, I think the best situation for this card is for it to target something like Sylvanas or something like that, or even, in my opinion, target something that is a 4 attack creature, like Druid of the Claw. Like, that's like the most, like the best way of dealing at turn 6, right? But then at the same time, you could just deal with Druid of the Claw at turn 7 or 8, depending if you coin or not, to like just like Shrinkmeister Cabal, right? And I don't really see this card playing in Dragon Priest, so I'm not really too excited about this one. I think Light Bomb is a much stronger card if you were to like pick a 6-drop in Priest. So I think this is a little bit overhyped.
Okay, that's fair. That's definitely fair.
Alright, so next one is the first legendary we see, Elise Starseeker. So you get a map to the Golden Monkey. You play 4 mana Senjin, sure, and then the map is actually a 2 mana spell that draws a card and also shuffles the Golden Monkey into your deck. And then the Golden Monkey itself is a 4 mana 6/6 that changes your whole hand and your deck into collectible legendary minions, which is so cool. I mean, people, if you haven't seen it, guys, like the animation, you need to like find the Blizzard stream and then watch it. It's amazing. It's really, really cool. But we're here for playability of the card. Amnesiac, what do you think?
Okay, I'm going to play this card so much because it's so fun.
Okay.
God, this might be the worst card I've ever seen printed.
Ouch. Alright, so wait, why is it bad? Let's elaborate a little bit.
Okay, alright, so let's think about how much work you have to put in just to get to the Golden Monkey. I'm not even going to go in on the Golden Monkey until I get there. But okay, so you play a 4 mana 3/5. That's not that bad. I'd play Refreshment then.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
So then you have to spend 2 mana drawing a card, cycling, and basically doing nothing. That's not that bad either.
Okay.
So then you have to play a 4 mana 2/6 taunt. Still not that bad. It's not good, but like it's not the worst. And then you cannot win the game.
Yeah, exactly, because like we know that Hearthstone is a game where you want a balance between minions and spells, or if you are only running minions like Zoo, you kind of want some battlecry minions like Doomguard, and you do need some like Power of Warmings or Abusives or something, like stuff that does something, right? And when you evaluate the legendary list, there's like so few legendaries that do something the turn you play them. So you're just playing Gruul, pass. You play Antonidas, at that point you have no spells, so pass, a dragon pass or something like that. Like, your deck becomes so predictable that, like, it's not really worth the investment into it, right? So, yeah.
It can't win after you play the Golden Monkey. I think it's awesome. I think this is, like, the coolest card I've ever seen. And I'm going to play with it just because it is like that. And I think that's, like, not bad for that it was printed. It's not going to see competitive play. You can't make your whole deck legendary.
Yeah.
There's a reason people don't do that.
Yeah, I mean, if you're evaluating the card based on the Golden Monkey as well, because you're paying 2 mana to cycle the card, it's not a 4 mana 6/6 taunt. It's a 6 mana 6/6 taunt that comes like later as well. So I'm not really sure I like a 6 mana 6/6 taunt. Like, it's just normal to me. And the battlecry effect of the Golden Monkey might be a drawback. So yeah, but very cool. Like we said, we're gonna play with it. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
All right. We have next one, the Djinni of Zephyrs. I don't really know how to pronounce this, but it says whenever you cast a spell on another friendly minion, you get a double dip effect. And the stat line is similar to a Drift Claw, a Spectral Knight, same stats like that. Where can we see this getting abused?
I mean, the best case scenario I could think of was Dragon Priest, and then we decided that it wouldn't be worth it in that, so I don't think this card's playable.
Okay. Like the first thing that popped in my mind was a Shaman, right? Like you play this, and then you play, I don't know, Stone Touch Spore, give it Wind Fury, give it double Rock Biter. It's like, whoa, let's just win the game, right? But
How much damage could you even deal? So you just go. Well, I mean, not counting Emperor. All right, so 4 Wind Fury, Rock Biter.
Right, so 7 on one and 10 on the other one, so that's like 34 damage. That's pretty cool. But yeah, I guess you can also.
Pretty good math when you try, huh?
Yeah, when you try, and also like it's interesting because the more cards that are printed that says whenever you cast a spell on X comes in, the better buff decks become, right? So like right now we have the twins, right? That kind of buff creatures. We also have the 2 Dragonkins, and now we have this guy. So if your whole deck is based on that scenario, where it just play some stuff, and then when you buff them up, they do insane amounts of stuff. It's gonna be crazy. But I don't think we are at that point yet where that is like a viable archetype. But you have to be careful because the best decks in Hearthstone, or the best decks in any collectible card game, is a deck that always does the same thing. Like every card does the same thing, right? Like, for example, Face Hunter. Every card deals damage to the face, right? Or Control Warrior. Every card wants to trade 2 for 1, right? So I'm gonna keep an eye out for this card because it does make the buff strategy kind of work. You get what I mean?
I feel like this is kind of a developing card. I don't think it was meant to be seeing constructed play right now. I just think that they're increasing their design space,
All right,
which is good. I think that's good.
Yeah, there you go. Alright, next one is the Desert Camel. It looks really, really funky. 3 mana, 2/4 beast, and it gives a 1-cost minion from each deck, puts them into the battlefield if you have a 1-cost. And of course, I think this is Blizzard's way of saying that, oh, aggro hunters, would you like to play a little bit slower? And to that I say, no, this beast does not have charge. So, no, I can only see this in a more of a control hunter where you just pull out a web spinner, for example.
Yeah, I mean, if you really think about this, so it's really good if they don't get a 1-drop, I guess, because you thin your deck of your 1-drop and you get a little bit of tempo. It's like a reasonable play, but the thinning of the 1-drop, I think, is a... But when they also get a 1-drop, usually their 1-drop's going to be better than a web spinner in terms of power, and it basically has charge. They're going to get to attack with it the turn that it gets into play, but you're not going to get attacked with yours. So this card seems pretty weak. I think it could be played in a Druid and Warrior heavy metagame because those decks don't really run 1s, and the ability to thin your deck and just develop against Druid and Warrior, I guess, too, is like a really big deal. But outside of that specific metagame, I don't think this is going to see them play.
Yeah, exactly. And at the end of the day, once again, I have to compare this to Razorfen Hunter, where it's like so it's a bit better than 2/3, and when you do pull out, your Leopard Gnome or your Worgen Infiltrator, that's pretty cool. But it does seem like it doesn't really match up on what the Hunter decks right now are trying to accomplish. So yeah, I can only see this being played in Web Spinner decks because your Web Spinner dies, you get Desert Camel, you play it, and you get your other Web Spinner. So yeah, but that's pretty cool though. Alright, next one we have the Eerie Statue. A 4 mana 7/7 that can only attack if it's the only thing that's on the board. So your board as well, your opponent's board as well. Otherwise, it's just a interesting Ancient Watcher. So there you go. What do you think? 4 mana giant? Anybody?
I would never play this in Handlock. It's just like worse Ancient Watcher.
Right. I mean, the power of Ancient Watcher is that it's 2 mana, right? So you can like combo with Shadow Flame.
It's like the only cheap thing you have. But
yeah, just so we're not too excited with this one because minions that can attack, not really that good. And the thing is, like, if you really want a Sun Fury target, right, or like an Argus target or something like that, this costs 4 mana. It's much more expensive than Ancient Watcher. Like, you need to devote 8 mana to make a wall. on the other hand, you can actually play 2 Ancient Watchers and make a big wall, right? If you're at turn 8, and you can't even actually use this on turn 6 or something like that. So yeah, I agree that this card might be really, really bad, but I will pick this card if I'm playing Mage Arena. You can Flame Strike and 7/7 hit the face. I think that's pretty cool. And Mage does have a lot of removal spells, so I think this is another Arena card.
Yeah, do you think if this is the only minion on your side of the battlefield, it would be more playable?
Right. Well, if it's on your side, it's actually insane, right? Because you can just attack and then play something else. And then they kill the taunt, and they attack and you play something else. I think if it's like only on your side, that's pretty insane. It makes every deck kind of like handlock-ish. But yeah, with this version, I think it's balanced. But once again, being balanced doesn't mean it's necessarily good.
Yeah, true.
Okay, good. Next one is, oh god, it's another priest spell that costs not 4 mana. It deals 3 damage to all minions, so Hellfire, and you give your opponent this card. At first I was like, ugh, why would I ever play a Holy Nova that's also like pretty expensive or whatnot? And I think about it more, I guess like, it really depends, right? If you give your opponent, it depends on what your opponent is playing. You can always mess them up, because if they actually draw this card, it might be even worse for them, because you can actually tailor your deck to play a lot of 4 health creatures like Dark Cultist, you can play Belcher and stuff like that, and that this card is not really good for them. And then when they draw that, it's like, oh, I could have drawn Alexstrasza instead, right? And against an aggro matchup, you give them this card, it doesn't really matter, because like it becomes a dead draw. They don't really want to duke the board for 3 damage. So thinking about it a little bit more, it becomes a little bit more interesting. But at the same time, a 5 mana board clear is just way too slow.
Yeah, I agree. The fact that you can shuffle it into their deck is generally going to have to be upside for this card to be playable. So it's going to be I think in a priest deck that just doesn't really run many minions. So maybe like Fatigue or Freeze Priest. I don't think Fatigue Priest is really a thing, but Freeze Priest I could maybe see this card needing, because that deck just looks for time to cycle through. And this card does buy you time, because if you can make them blank on that 1 draw, it could be a really big deal.
But yeah, but at the same time, you do need to also get the effect to your advantage. Or you do want to deal 3 damage to all minions, not just because you want to block their card. And the fact that you need to align dealing 3 damage and having that get a lot of value, and also blocking, their deck because they're playing like a control deck or aggro deck. I think it's just like a lot of stars aligning for this card to work, and I'll just stick with my Holy Nova,
Yeah, this card doesn't seem very playable.
Alright, good. Next one, we got the Explorer's Hat. It's a Hunter card. You give a minion a banana, and then when it dies, you get this back.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, no.
Not one Blizzard. Good
yeah.
try.
I think this card is just cute, right? I think it's cute because like +1/+1, that effect proves it could be really, really useful, especially when you like in vanilla Hearthstone, Shadow Sunclair was played everywhere because you just want that 1 stat higher so that you can do a good trade, and then your opponent gets to be behind and stuff like that, right? Unfortunately for this one, I just don't think it makes the cut, because not only do you need to kill the minion, right? You need to kill the minion for this to, kind of cycle and then play it. It's 2 mana. Like, how many 2 mana things do you need to play to make this work, right? If you want to give 2 mana +2/+2, then I guess it works out. So you need to play this 2 times. And for playing 2 times, you play 4 mana, and you have to have this card in your hand. So, I don't know. It's like too many things have to align for this card to work.
You never actually catch up on mana when you're playing this card, because you always have to commit the mana the following time in order to get the effect. So this card never actually makes itself worth it, except in the value standpoint. It's a Hunter card. So.
Yep. So I don't think this is going to see play.
No, it shouldn't. I can't think of a reason it would.
Okay, good. Let's go to the next one, which is a Spider Tech of Taunt for Warriors. It has Taunt.
Yes, it does have Taunt. Good job, Moss.
Okay, thank you. So, 3 drops for Warriors? Anybody?
I mean, historically, Warrior hasn't been much of a mid-range class. They usually just polarize their late game and early game and kind of just don't do stuff in the mid game. So I definitely don't see this card making its way into Control Warrior. I think it's a good card. It just doesn't fit the Control Warrior plan or scheme at all. Maybe in like the only Warrior deck I can think of that wants this card, like even Patron Warrior, which is a pretty tempo-y deck, I don't think wants this. I think like a strict no Patron tempo Warrior might want this, but even that, like, does that exist? I don't think that exists.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think this is once again a strictly an arena card, so that a common for warriors makes arena warriors matter. Yeah, that kind of movement thing. So, yeah, I think this is strictly an arena card, and warriors in a good place already right now. They don't really need too much, craziness to make them effective. That's my kind of spiel. I mean, people are obviously gonna say this is gonna have so much bolster value, but I mean, come on. Let's get real, okay? Bolster, it's not a card you want to play around too much.
This will be a good web spinner drop, though. I will say that.
It is a beast. That is true.
I don't know why this is a beast. That seems random.
That is pretty random, but
it didn't have to be a monkey.
That every class needs to have a beast, so that Blizzard can say that we are very inclusive.
So we can have the web spinner rainbow.
Exactly. We're gonna have another beast that comes up. Maybe it's this one. Oh no, yeah, okay. So we have now a 5-mana 6/3 for Mage. Ethereal Conjurer discovers a spell, and once again, Discover can only proc your own class. So this gives you a Mage spell that you can choose 1 from 3. What do you think?
All right, so the Mage spells you can get on just overall. So there's 4 1-mana spells. Then
there's a heck load of secrets.
There's so many bad spells.
Yeah, there's a lot of secrets.
I'm going through it. I don't know if on average you'll get something good, but I want to say that it's close because you only need to 1 in 3 it, right? But I don't think on average you actually get something good off this. And that's a really big problem when you're playing a 5-mana 6/3. This card really needs to be high impact.
Yeah, I think on average, I mean, we're looking for Frostbolt, Flame Cannon, Fireball, Flame Strike Blizzard. Yeah, stuff like that. Yeah, I think on average you actually get a good spell because you get to choose 1 from 3, right? And I'm assuming that when you discover something, none of those are the same thing, because that would be kind of like not intuitive, right? I mean, you can discover 3 arcane missiles. Oh, okay, I guess I'll choose arcane missiles, right? So yeah, I think the fact that Azuric just outclasses this mini so much is the problem that I wouldn't play this card, right? Sometimes discovering a spell is not as good as drawing a card from your deck, right? I want to draw a card from my deck more than I want to discover a fireball.
Yeah, I mean, like, isn't Azure Drake just always better, or other 5 drops?
Well, I mean, in that case, you just need to see if you want the stat distribution, right? I mean, let's give the benefit of the doubt that the Azure Drake effect is as good as Ethereal Conjurer, right? Because I mean, at the end of the day, Ethereal Conjurer could be 5-mana 6/3 and then Blizzard the board next turn, which is a lot of value in one card, right? But
yeah, I mean, it's a lot of mileage.
Yeah, but still, I don't want to play a 6/3. I don't want to play 6/3.
This card is only playable because of its ridiculous effect in Warrior. And Paladin, I guess. It's fun Paladin.
Yeah, it's permanent effects, right? Permanent effects are always going to be really good in Hearthstone. Jiraxxus is permanent effect. Justicar is a permanent effect. What else are permanent effects? We need one more example. Sorry, what?
Headcrack.
Headcrack. Kinda. Headcrack was really played a lot when it was 2 mana, so it got nerfed. But yeah, anything that's permanent is really, really crazy. But this is not permanent, so